This is the National Desk, America's News Now. I'm Ryan Smith. Breaking news tonight here. Severe storms hitting central and southeast United States for the third day in a row now. Nearly 22 million people from Colby, Kansas, all the way to Jacksonville, Florida, now on the path for more violent storm cells. And there is currently a tornado warning for Lawton Central High and Imperial City in Oklahoma. And a tornado watch until 10 o'clock tonight for Central, for parts of Oklahoma and North Texas. Now, these areas are under threat of what they are calling a triple point setup. Tornadoes are likely. Falling hailstones could be the size of a DVD, and damaging winds are expected and could be up to 90 miles per hour there, which is the equivalent of a Category 1 hurricane. And these storms are hitting communities that are already suffering from strong storms that blew through yesterday. Trees, you see them right here, uprooted. Houses and cars were damaged. 4-inch hail reported across Mississippi, and the Storm Prediction Center reporting there were at least 8 tornadoes spotted across the southeast. In all, Wednesday's storms knocking out power for more than 100,000 people across multiple states. Meanwhile, Texas is in the midst of a potentially historic heat wave right now. More than 30 million people in Texas, along with Florida and Louisiana, were under heat advisories today. That according to the National Weather Service. You can see this forecast for the Austin area for the next few days. Temperatures will be well over 100 degrees, with some records expected to be broken. In other parts of the state, it could feel like 119 degrees based on the heat index reading. U.S. jobless claims are up for the second week in a row now. The Labor Department announcing that today. Applications for unemployment benefits were at 262,000 last week, higher than expected. The last 2 weeks' numbers are the highest since October 2021. Levels usually start increasing ahead of a recession, but right now they're still considered low. The Supreme Court announcing 3 rulings today. The biggest case ruled that the Indian Child Welfare Act could stand. The law gives preferences to Native Americans and tribal members in adoption and foster care placements. The 7-2 decision was written by Amy Coney Barrett. Only Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito offered dissenting opinions. The court also ruling that U.S. bankruptcy code supersedes tribal sovereignty and that a criminal defendant can seek retrial if the initial proceedings took place in the wrong venue, with a jury taken from the wrong pool of citizens. But the court has not yet weighed in on larger issues affecting the country, like the challenge to affirmative action in college admissions. The record-long Oregon Senate walkout is officially over. After 6 weeks without enough people to vote, Senate Republicans there joining their Democratic colleagues on the floor to do their business today. Republicans Senate Minority Leader Tim Knopp thanking the Democratic Senate president for compromising on some disputed legislation, notably a reproductive rights bill and a sweeping gun control measure. Now, these bills were voted back to committee today, but will come back to the floor after changes are made. The state's legislative session ends on June 25th. Right now, a jury is deliberating in the Pittsburgh synagogue shooting trial. Robert Bowers has pleaded not guilty to 63 charges in the killing of 11 worshipers in the Tree of Life synagogue back in 2018. The federal prosecutor in this case saying during closing arguments that Bowers filled with hatred for Jews and had a history of anti-Semitic and white supremacist posts online. The defense argued Bowers' motive was because of his hatred for immigrants and the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. It's possible that Bowers could be faced with a death sentence. After the break, concert goers will see changes to ticket purchasing later this year, what live entertainment giants are promising. Then some shocking data from the CDC about death rates, the surprising population being affected. Then pride flags have been disappearing from several different homes in one city. What police are now doing to respond. We're back in about 90 seconds. No more junk fees. That's the new promise from Ticketmaster and Live Nation, the entertainment giants, promising more transparency in a meeting today with President Biden at the White House. A regular target of consumer rage over sticker shock because seemingly affordable tickets included what many consider exorbitant additional charges before checkout.
This is a win for consumers, in my view, and proof that our crackdown on junk fees has real momentum. But there's more to do.
Now, those new policies will start later this year. Multiple U.S. federal government agencies have been targeted in a global cyber attack. An official from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency telling CNN today the agency now working to support agencies affected by the hack, which exploits a vulnerability in software programming. Now, the agency did not elaborate on who was responsible for the attack or how many organizations have been breached. Meanwhile, cyber experts said today that Chinese hackers broke into the networks of hundreds of public and private sector organizations around the world, over half of them located in America. The Google-owned cybersecurity firm Mandiant said about a third of the targets were government agencies. The company now saying it was very likely the hackers were supporting the Chinese government as part of a spying operation, and that it may have been going on since October. The PGA Live Tour deal hit another big snag today. Senate Finance Committee Chairman Ron Wyden opening an investigation into their planned merger, raising serious concerns about the PGA Tour's tax-exempt status if this deal does go through. The Department of Justice also opening a separate investigation into the deal, looking to determine if the agreement violates U.S. antitrust law. The Centers for Disease Control issuing a report today that nearly 1 in 5 American adults in 2020 reported having been diagnosed with depression in their lifetime. The 10 states with the highest depression rates in the U.S., you see them right here: West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Vermont, Alabama, Louisiana, Washington, Missouri, and Montana. Hawaii registering the lowest depression rate. The CDC also releasing data today showing more young people are dying at the highest rates in decades. It finds in 2021 suicide and homicide were the second and third leading causes of death for people 10 to 24 years old in the United States. Now, it marks the highest homicide rate since 1997 for that age group and the highest on record dating back to 1968. And deaths from suicide in that age group have been increasing over the last 2 decades. The report did not cover reasons for that increase. Next, a long-running theft ring busted, but one of the members is on the loose. We'll be back after this. The National Desk's team of reporters bringing you headlines from coast to coast tonight. We are taking the pulse of America. Tonight we start in Pennsylvania, where a long-running theft ring was busted. 9 people have been charged with stealing artwork, artifacts, and sports memorabilia over a 20-year span. Court documents show the group targeted museums and other institutions across the country, taking the stolen goods to Pennsylvania, where they were sold under value and in some cases destroyed. The FBI now says 8 of the 9 suspects have surrendered. That other one considered a fugitive tonight. And in Washington state, the Tacoma Police Department now partnering with the Rainbow Center, an LGBTQ advocacy group and safe space, to address recent pride flag thefts after 9 pride flags vanished from homes in North Tacoma over the weekend. Local police now issuing a statement saying they stand with the LGBTQ community. They're now encouraging victims to report the crimes to the department or the Rainbow Center. The center says it will act as a resource for community members if they do not feel comfortable going to the police.
There hasn't been a lot of traction with police departments in the past. So we're trying to move forward. We're trying to get everybody to move forward to make sure we're able to have a method to be able to report this information so that way it can be documented, so that way it can be tracked, so that way our voices are heard.
The incident's now being investigated as thefts and malicious harassment. We'll be back in 90 seconds. Amazon's East Coast headquarters, or HQ2, officially opening today in Arlington, Virginia. Now, this represents the first phase of that expansion. It includes more than 2 million square feet of office space. The complex also featuring retail space, a public park, even a community garden, and public art installations. Amazon now saying it expects to employ 25,000 workers at this campus. That's going to do it for us now. Join us again tonight for the late edition of the National Desk. Be sure to check your local listings for that. I'm Ryan Smith. Thanks for watching.